Welcome back to CU. Again, we're here with Dr. Paul Young. Dr. Paul Young, thank you for coming on. And you said to call you Paul as well.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So
Yeah,
perfect.
right.
So yeah, I think I wanted to start off just kind of how you got started with music. I know you're a musician as well, and you've spent a lot of time, obviously, on the business side of it. What
Right.
kind of came first?
Obviously the music.
Right.
And I think it does for most everybody at this place where we're starting off at USC,
Yeah.
that the music passion starts for all of us. I was playing trombone when I was 10, and that's a silly, ridiculous thing for most people, you know, at an early age in the 21st century,
Yeah.
kind of a thing now, to think that that would be your starting point. But you know, in those,
I started trombone age 12.
oh, you're as
So I was
silly
a little
as
bit
I am.
behind you. Yeah.
Right. So I started off on the trombone because my band director came around, like they do in a lot of schools, and said, "Hey, we have a band, and
You can
here's
buzz
some
your
instruments."
lips and you can
Yeah.
play the trombone.
That's the only one that he actually played well. So that's the
Okay.
one that stuck out to me as the one that I thought, oh,
Right.
that sounds pretty good. You know, somehow, in a crazy way, that informed a whole path of wanting to be into the business of it.
Right.
And just always feeling like the drive for music as my passion point in my business and my livelihood has always been consistent.
It sounds like through your schools, just generally they had great music programs, a good director that kind of took you through, or?
I did love every band director that I had along the way, but
Okay.
it was California. Prop 13 was going through, and
see.
which was affecting the amount of money available for schools. And
see.
actually, I saw a lot of my band directors get pink slips, and I
Interesting.
think that might have been one of the reasons I didn't end up a music educator until much later in life in a different way.
So how did that sort of, the passion for music kind of stick with you through programs that maybe weren't the best?
Well, you know, I had a good experience. It's just it wasn't necessarily a robust kind of a
see.
thing like
Okay.
some of the different states have with different funding and those kinds of things. But you were asking me about, like, how did it stick with me?
Yeah,
As a
yeah.
passion driver, I think, you know, early on, and I say the same thing to my students now, if you could wake up every morning and get charged up for what you go to work because it's what you love, you know, that would be probably a good driver for what you should choose for the rest of your life that you'd want to do.
Yeah.
You could go for aptitude, you can go for where's the money, and you can go for where's my passion. And if you can find a sweet spot, but if you have to pick one, for me, it's always been your passion driver is what keeps you, compels you to go forward.
That's incredible. So I was reading in your bio that you started like booking musicians around age 13, if I'm reading correctly. How?
I wasn't an agent kind of thing.
I was just very curious
Yeah, well,
what
that's
that
an early.
meant. Yeah.
So I had kind of a leader propensity early on in a kind of a driven way. I guess you could say it's a little bit more ego-driven when I was younger than it is now, but because I'm kind of done with the ego side of it. But at 13, I wanted to lead a band, and so I was in a traditional jazz group. You know, because the trad jazz, sometimes called Dixieland kind of things. In Sacramento, there was a big festival up there, and so that was for a trombone player. That was something I could do, and I was growing up with my grandparents who loved that music and that kind of thing, and so. I was in this youth group that was outside of school, and I just felt like I wanted to lead. I wanted to see where it could go and that kind of thing. So I started booking my own group. So it's kind of like being a band leader.
I see.
And they had to drive me to my first everything because I'm 13 years old, right? But we were on kind of an anomaly as a young group. And that, you know, look at these little kids, and they're playing this stuff that's from, you know, decades before this. And so it was actually kind of a small business, and learning about managing and leading a group, and picking the music and making sure everything's going to happen on time and with the right people and all that kind of things. It was a early education before I even realized where I was going.
Right. So it sounds like the passion for jazz specifically and more classical forms of music came from like your grandparents.
My grandparents loved that particular music specifically. My grandfather's 1910, my grandmother's 1913. So that was kind of like they were coming around around those times. But no, that was, I think in a lot of ways it was because I started at a trombone, and that's what you get at a Western classical tradition when you go to school, is you get the jazz and the classical kinds of things as your training early on, before I'm not a purist about anything whatsoever. And what I teach now is absolutely pan-genre, and what I've lived is pan-genre, you know, so since then.
Right. So you go through college. What's sort of your first job out of college? What are you doing? Are you looking immediately to stick with music, or was there ever a point where you thought?
Well, I actually have a music industry degree, like I teach here at USC. There were only 3 schools in the country. I think Miami had one very early on before I was even born. But there was rarity. So where I was in Northern California, University of Pacific, they had a program like that. So I set my sights on the music business as a degree path, and I remember being a freshman, first class at 17, saying, I want to be the president of Warner Brothers. I had no idea what that meant. That doesn't, you know, you don't have any context at 17 when you say that. But I was driven to find the parallel between that music passion and the business life, and the kind of advocating for what we do is special and valuable and those kinds of things. So that got me down to LA, and working in the record business.
Interesting.
And being a musician, like it's two professions simultaneously.
Right. Being someone who, even from a very young age, was very ambitious, and then at 17, aiming for the very top of a top record label. What are there any sort of like parameters or any guidelines for you that would like define success, or certain themes that are very important for somebody to go ahead and
make music
achieve
your
their goals?
profession in every way you possibly can? That would be. I mean, if you can say a theme in a very generalized way, that was my theme, and I think it is for almost all my students that wouldn't have maybe chosen that music path, or they wouldn't choose a record company as their outcome. That's only one possible way to do it.
Right.
It's just that that I want to do what I wake up and I work on is valuable. That what I do, what I create, how it influences people is a product. It is a goal. It is a personal passion driving thing. That in any role I play, that's my profession. I add value to other people's lives, and that's how it pays me. And doing it through a product they love as opposed to they need, like a toothbrush or something, or an insurance policy. That doesn't mean as much to me.
Yeah, so you've had wild success in the music industry as well as in performance. You've played with a lot of your heroes, Bobby McFerrin, other names are slipping my mind. But who is the? Are there any like one person that you wanted to play with and got to play alongside?
You know, I could do the celebrity name drop, but frankly, a lot of that stuff floats right by my mind now because I've been playing music for 35 years, and that's There's been countless wonderful things that have happened along the way of Diana Krall and Arturo Sandoval, and I can't even remember everybody. Take Six and Natalie Cole and things that have happened at different points in my life, but they're not the same. They're a lot of ways they're kind of the wonderful gigs. They're the high points of like, oh wow, I did that. You know, I played with the LA Phil at the Hollywood Bowl. That happened. You know, but I'm not a regular guy with those kinds of groups with most of them.
Right.
The one that sticks with me right now is a name that not everybody knows, which is John DeVersa, who means the most to me as a musical experience, where it's a member of a band. Over the last 10 years, we just had 3 Grammy nominations, and being a member of a band, you know, as opposed to just playing on the gig, is really meaningful to me. That we're making music I really love, and I'm seeing that other people are starting to recognize him for what he created, and you know, being a part of that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Congratulations, by the
way. He did the work, really. I can say I'm in the band, but it's really his.
You're the horn in the back. You're sliding
along with it.
Sliding along.
Right.